Will it replace you as an artist? Are you going to lose your job? Is there a future for artists in the world of business, anime, and videos, and painting, and so on? Or are we just going to end up living in a collage of unrelenting AI generated art where regular artists like you and me are just going to get drowned out and we're not going to be able to make any money from our art? Today we're talking about that and many more, including Chainsaw Man and Demon Slayer reviews. Stick around to the end because I hope to hear your thoughts on this, and if there's anyone in the chat, I will answer your questions. Now, so my thoughts on AI. Will AI take your job away? Yeah, maybe. Depends on what you're currently doing as an artist. If you're only producing content, especially like background content, or if you're a concept artist, AI might get to the point where you, as an artist, you can't compete with it. And so it will definitely change everything. And one of the things that I'm thinking about is like concept art for video games. What you could end up being able to do is you could draw a character and then give that character to AI and tell the AI all of the different variations and background colors that you want the character to be in to help speed up the content creation process. Because the process has sped up, there might not be a need to hire as many artists. So I do believe that there will definitely be a downsizing of art teams in the video game industry, the VFX industry, definitely visual effects. Because think about how much time it takes for a Marvel movie to put all of those effects in the movie. It takes almost as long as it does to film it. If AI can do it faster and better, one, they're going to do it. It'll save them time and money, and they won't have to hire as many people. So yeah, there are changes coming, and it will allow art by studios to be generated a lot faster. But I also think that there will be a new dichotomy where you as an artist can actually thrive. But so we have to think of this as, if we're going to go 20 years into the future, what's it going to be like? I think the AI generated art is going to be like the Walmart of art. It's just going to be the most generic, here's everything you could possibly want. You're going to go online and look at all these photos that were generated via AI just by someone typing in a couple words. It's just going to be everywhere. It's going to be non-stop AI photos. And so what's the consumer going to want? The consumer is definitely going to get bored with just seeing the same old AI generated photos over and over and over again. But what really drives our branding and pricing is being able to connect with people personally. Why do you go to that small business? One, you probably like the owner, and it's probably a lot better. Let's think of it this way. AI photos will probably end up being like the McDonald's burger of art, in that it's cheap, it's fast and easy, and everybody wants it. But as from a consumer standpoint, what do you do when you want a really fantastic burger experience? Do you typically go to McDonald's? Not if you have money. You go to an actual restaurant that charbroils that grill and makes it really, really delicious. It's 10 times better than McDonald's, and you're willing to pay 3 times, maybe even 4 times more for basically the same amount of calories. It's all because it's of a higher quality. So me as artists, we need to think, okay, the industry is going to be completely saturated in terms of self-promoted art, and in video games and concept art, it's going to be a lot different. And so thinking is like, okay, how can I position myself to stand out from this homogenized, boring collage, just massive wave of AI generated content, which will honestly probably be really uninspiring for a lot of people. I think you're just going to have this overflow of photos that aren't really worth looking at because there's no human soul behind them, at least not in the beginning. AI may get to the point where, they can actually create that, and in that case it's just going to be even harder for us. But I do believe that there is hope. And one, what am I going to do as a beginner artist? I'm essentially a beginner. I just decided to pursue a life of art this year, and now I'm finding out that, oh, AI is coming and it's going to make me obsolete. So one, I have to get really good at art to compete against all of you guys and the professionals, and now AI is going to make it even harder. And so the thing that, am I discouraged? No, because I'm not going to quit making art because I don't do it for the money. I've wandered around for 25 years finding things that fill my soul that I can just do a lot. And for that, it's art. I've been a pilot. I've done engineering. I've done door-to-door sales. I've done factory work. I've done a lot of stuff. And art is one of those things that really, really vibes with me. So I'm not doing it for the money, which means I can do it long term. And, even if it takes me my whole life to be successful, I'm okay with that, because just finding that thing that I love that fills me up with joy every day, that is success. And I think I found it, and I'm going to keep exploring that and keep working on it. And I encourage you, especially if you're a young artist, to really continue exploring that. And so in terms of looking for jobs and trying to get into a saturated AI market, well, Tom Bilyeu said on Twitter, which I think is really, really cool, is AI is going to turn a lot of artists from musicians into conductors. The music world, there's the people who are playing the music, and then there's the conductor. He's controlling all of these instruments. He's controlling all of these musicians. And I think that's going to be key for you and I to actually have futures in the art business, is that we need to upgrade our skills to be conductors of all of these fascinating technologies. And so I think we could see AI as a tool that you and I can conduct to make things happen even faster. And so think of it as, you're going to have to expand your tools. You can't just be, a one-trick pony who only knows how to draw characters in Photoshop, because are they going to hire you only for that? You're probably going to have to expand your resume, maybe even build up people skills, be good at administration. So if you have other talents that you're good at, bring those into your portfolio, whether it's administration, organizing, managing, multiple different websites and apps that you can use. And I suspect that in the future, they're going to want you to know how to use AI in your creation process. And so, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to draw the character, you're going to create the color scheme that you want, and then you're going to tell the AI, create 10 different variations of this color scheme. And now I want you to place this character with all of these different backgrounds so that I can see how it looks in these different landscapes with these different color schemes. The AI is going to make your creative process a lot faster. And so if you want to survive this coming shift, I think we're just going to have to start looking at AI as just another tool that we need to master. And so I'm going to be doing a lot of AI generated art and NFTs on this channel going forward, because I just think technology is a one-way street. When we invented the toilet, we didn't go back. When we invented the internal combustion engine, we didn't go back. When we invented, planes, we didn't go backwards. We invented email. We're not going backwards. We invented crypto. That's not going away either. We invented AI. That's not going to go away either. We can protest it all we want and, upload, no AI to all of these different websites. We can be angry at it all we want. Technology is a one-way street. We, human beings, we never go back. Once we discover something awesome that we love, we're keeping it. We're not changing it. We're not getting rid of AI. It's going to be here. So I think just the best thing to do is to make AI part of our long-term career plan. I'm going to use AI as a tool to help me create art faster and better. And I'm also not going to limit my portfolio to just the art I create. What about my administration skills? What about my people skills? What about my ability to manage a team? What projects have I created? What kind of stories can I write? Have I made any personal manga? All of these things need to be beefing up my resume so that I am a much better candidate for a job in the future, especially when the market might be shrinking because of AI. And so those are my thoughts, and that is what I would do. And another thing on that, if you're an independent artist, if you want to get a job, that's one thing, but being an independent artist, now you have only yourself to think about and to stand out amongst this crowd, this massive sea of, AI generated art that's probably not all that great. And so what I would do is, like, you got to get known. You got to get on social media, and you have to be known. You have to be able to tell stories and engage with people. You got to get beyond the superficial and really connect with people emotionally, because people don't buy what they do, they buy why you do it, and they want to buy it from you, especially if they resonate with you personally. And so, that's why we want to buy jewelry from certain brands. That's why we want to buy a certain piece of art from a certain artist. That's why I bought a VeeFriend from Gary Vee. If anybody else had made VeeFriends, I wouldn't have bought it. Gary Vee changed my life, so I bought a VeeFriend and benefited greatly from it. And so you want to be able to think of that internally. You just got to get known. Write books, make a YouTube channel. That's what I'm doing here, because if you're going to be a solo artist, you have to have a way for people to find you, and you have to be able to stand out. So make marketing a big part of your strategy going forward, because if nobody knows about you, they can't buy your art. And so instead of saying, oh, I don't want to do social media, you kind of have to if you want to compete with AI, in my opinion. That's my humble opinion as a beginner, but that's just me thinking through, and that's my plan going forward. And so that's what I'm going to do, and I hope to have that journey with you. If you want to come around here, like and subscribe. And I know I may have said some controversial things here. I consider you guys smart, intelligent people, so I want to hear from you in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about this topic. Is AI good? Is it bad? Etc., etc. I would love to hear what you think. Now, with that down, Chainsaw Man. Let's talk about that. And my initial reaction, I've watched half of it so far because I'm watching the dub, and I'll give you my full review when it's all completed. One, Denji needs to grow the heck up. I have a lot of things to say about his character in particular, but let's tone it down. Let's talk about the show overall first. Wow. I mean, wow, what a great show. And I would like to talk about the plotting and how that first episode is absolutely amazing. First episode is stellar. You start with one character, and the other characters that are in the episode, they show you exactly what is going on with him and why you should care. It's absolutely amazing. There's not a single wasted scene in the first episode. It's one of the things that I really, really appreciate, especially as someone who wants to be a storyteller, and I'm definitely taking notes. Every single scene in the first episode matters, and it allows them to build, rather quickly, going forward into the show. So I think, the plotting is excellent. The first episode is a masterwork. I was hooked basically instantly. And, now I really just want to talk about Denji's, kind of sketchy motivation. And obviously this is more of a personal thing. The reason that Chainsaw Man doesn't rank it ranks high for me. Like, I love it a lot, but it's not in my all-time top five right now, and that's simply because I personally can't look up to Denji's values, and I can't look up to his reasons for doing what he does. As someone who has spent his entire adult life being celibate and working very, very ridiculously hard to stay abstinent, Denji is not, him and his horniness is not someone that I look up to. And so that's really, and again, that's a personal thing. That's just me. If you're different, then have at it. You probably love the show more than I do. But for me personally, I can't look up to a character where his only motivation in life is to get a little bit of action with a woman that he barely even knows. And one of the things that, to the show's credit, massive amounts of credit, is that he seems to be finding out the hard way that his motivations aren't all that they're cracked up to be. So I really, really hope that his character continues to grow, continues to evolve. And that one scene where he and kisses the one character with the eye patch. I forget her name, and she vomits up in his throat. One, great writing. That was completely unexpected, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. That was hilarious. But it also goes to show that, not everything is the way you think it is the first time around. And I really appreciate that the characters are helping Denji grow up in almost a way, or the show is giving a commentary on that sort of behavior. It's not just doing it for a goof. Like, it's actually being intelligent, it's actually being mature. And so I really look forward to seeing where this show goes in terms of the exploring the sexual tension between Denji and literally all of the other women in the show. And hopefully, I'm hoping that he grows up and starts bringing out a more mature reasoning for things and gets a bigger and better why. That will help me personally connect to him more as a character, and it will move my appraisal of the show up in closer to the top 5. And then when I say top 5, I'm talking Code Geass, Attack on Titan, Death Note, among some others. I can never think of my top 5 off the top of my head because I have watched a lot of anime. But suffice to say, my relationship to Denji and how well I relate to his motivations to doing what he does is the only thing holding me back slightly from really saying the show is 10 out of 10. So far it's 9 out of 10, but depending on Denji's arc and how his character grows as an individual and how the show commentates on that, that'll really decide whether this show is a 10 out of 10, provided that the plotting and everything else stays relatively the same. The animation is fantastic, the plot is great, the dialogue is fantastic. I love all of it. And so for me, I'm hoping that Denji learns to look for meaning in relationships and not just getting, quick sexual satisfaction. And I am aware that is just me personally. Art is subjective and, and objective, but sometimes we relate to different things differently based on our past experiences. Like I've said, I've been abstinent my entire adult life, and so for me, that's just where I'm coming from. If you're different, then no, that's fine. And so for me personally, the way I would look at going about romance and stuff is I would look to search for meaning in those relationships so that they actually fill you up even on dark days when things aren't as fun and aren't as good. And I hope that the show progresses and at least commentates on that. And again, I am not someone who doesn't like a show just because it doesn't teach the same values as I do. We're going to get to that in a little bit later. We're going to talk about Sandman and why I still love it, even though there's a lot of different things in it. I don't have to have a TV show preach its values or my values to me in order to love it. If I want a sermon, I will go to church. If I want to be entertained, I just want to watch a show. And the characters can have different values and different ideas about life, and I'm not going to get upset with that. It does change, how well I relate to those characters and whether or not I look up to them or not. But that doesn't necessarily change how much I love or hate the show. And so going forward, I hope that the show just continues to be doing what it's doing because I absolutely love it. And with that down, thank you so much for being here, guys. That is my halfway point review of Chainsaw Man. I will do a full review later on once I finish the dubbed version because that's the version that I want to watch. And let me know, what anime do you want me to react to? I have seen a lot and I would love to do more reviews for you guys. Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And with that all down, we're going to talk about Sandman, guys. Neil Gaiman's Sandman is one of my favorite comic books that I am listening to on Audible, and I will buy the actual comics eventually. But for right now, let's talk about Sandman and everybody's insistence that it is just the wokest thing and it's absolutely garbage. I disagree. Sandman is not woke, and it is awesome. About the Netflix show. And so I think a lot of fans, they're actually being borderline bigots when it comes to, being mad that an ideology is being pushed in their face, but the fact that the characters are different. It's one thing to dislike a show because it's preachy and it's blatantly shoving someone else's values in your face. As an artist, I don't want to do that because I hate having it done to me. It's another thing to just plain hate the show because characters that are different than you exist in the show. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. If you have different values, fine. And if you don't want to watch a show because it shows you things that you're not comfortable seeing, fine. But don't go on an angry tirade talking about how it's the worst thing ever, it's woke, it's trash. It's a fantastic show. The Sandman is a fantastic show. You may not resonate with it because you may have a certain value system, but it's fascinating to me. A lot of people who are conservative or anti-woke, they say that, they don't hate different lifestyles or different types of people or whatever. Then why do they go out of their way to trash all of these shows before they've seen it? Especially like with Lord of the Rings. Everybody just trashed it, saying it was woke trash before they even saw the thing. And I thought that was ridiculous. Now, coincidentally, I never made it past episode 2 because it was pretty freaking boring and I have other things to do with my life. But I didn't come to that conclusion before I watched it. I watched The Rings of Power and I was like, kind of boring. I'll come back to it if season 2 is good. I didn't make any assumptions about the show, and it's certainly not because there's a black actor in it. God. So I want to talk about this dichotomy where teaching an ideal and shoving something in people's face, because I think everyone's just blending it together and then using it as an excuse to hate everything. And I don't think that's the best thing to do. Because here's the reality. All stories teach lessons. All archetypal stories teach lessons. You have the hero, he has to go through a hero's journey, he overcomes something, and there's a lesson in what he has to overcome. And so all stories do this. All stories have lessons. And so as an artist, we all want to teach things. We all want to put things out into the world and tell our stories and tell stories that can inspire people to, for the most part, do good and be better versions of themselves. That's what would fill me up with joy as a creator and an artist. And so really all stories teach lessons, and whether or not you agree or disagree with the lesson doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad show or story. It might be excellently written, well plotted, excellently shot, amazing dialect, and you might still be able to enjoy it. Like I enjoy a lot of shows that I don't agree with the main character's point of view. Because it's a good show and it never makes me feel like I'm being talked down to. And that, my friends, is the key. The problem with woke Hollywood is that they shove their values in your face so freaking hard that they talk down to you. And you feel demeaned and talked down to. It's like, oh, look, if you disagree with this character's point of view, you're a bad person. Like, there's no duality, there's no empathy for different characters. It's blatantly a sermon. And that sucks. Like I said earlier, if I want a sermon, if I want to be preached to, I will go to church. That's what that's for. I do not watch The Sandman or anime to be preached to. I watch it to be entertained. And I'm glad to say that The Sandman did not preach to me. It entertained me. And thus it is a fantastic show, and I absolutely love it. It's basically how they show these things that matters most. Obviously, the country and the world is incredibly polarized on a lot of issues, and so having some things in shows is just going to turn some people off. And that's the way that it is. Like, I'm not saying you have to watch a show. I'm saying let's just be a little bit more reasonable when it comes to how we go about these things. If you're uncomfortable watching a show or you want to watch something else that resonates with you a bit more, fine. You don't necessarily have to go around trashing everything, even the stuff that's good, just because some of the characters have values that you don't agree with or you don't like. And so I think if people just relax a little bit and stop being so aggressive, then maybe creators wouldn't feel the need to be so aggressive in the way that they push things. And obviously, at the end of the day, money does talk. You do have to make films and movies that appeal to a large audience. And so, for me, The Sandman was completely cool. I was raptured by it. I loved it. And just because there are different things in it doesn't necessarily turn me off in any sort of way. And so, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I think people need to chill out a little bit, especially with aggressive fandoms. I believe that anger and hatred only produces more anger and hatred. And if we just take a step back, take a deep breath, calm the frick down, and just speak with love and kindness and say, hey, I don't really resonate with this. I want to go and watch something else to put my money somewhere. I don't have to go out of my way to hate that thing. I can just go and watch something else. And at the end of the day, the money will talk. The audience is always right. And that's what they'll keep on producing. If the money comes in, they'll keep making it. And so I feel like, people can afford to relax a little bit. But the problem is we've built up all this fear and anger. It's almost impossible to relax on these issues, and it's infecting every little thing of our lives, including the TV shows that we watch, whether or not we like this or that. And honestly, I'm over it. I'm over and done with it, and I'm completely bored with it. From now on, I don't care if a show is more conservative or liberal. Is it a good show? Does it entertain me? And do I feel preached at and talked down to, or do I feel like the writer is treating me like an intelligent human being? Like Attack on Titan. You have all of these different characters with different morals and different beliefs and different backgrounds, and they're all clashing, and it's brilliantly entertaining. And the writer doesn't smear his beliefs in my face. He just comes up with really, really hard questions, and I learn from that. And that's how you tell stories that get people to question their beliefs and learn and grow. Don't smear your ideas into their face. Create compelling stories that get them to ask themselves, what would I do if I was in that situation? And make it a difficult question. And that's how people will learn. And so those are my thoughts. That's what I would do if I were, writing films for Hollywood. That's what I'm going to do when I start writing my manga, Dead Panda, later this year, once I learn how to draw. And so stick around for that, like and subscribe. And of course, I know you guys are intelligent. I'm not saying I know everything, so I want to hear from you in the comments down below. What do you think about this? Did I miss something? I'm not super smart. If you leave a good comment, I might make a video responding to it. Now, with that down, let's get on to the next topic, which is our Demon Slayer review. Guys, this show is so good. I don't even know what to say. The Demon Slayer is just an absolutely brilliant show, and just want to talk about it a bit. And I love Tanjiro so much. Like, we talked about being able to look up to characters early, and how Chainsaw Man Denji, I can't really look up to that character as much, so the show is only a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. But Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, oh my gosh, I look up to that guy a lot. He is freaking awesome, and I'm going to tell you why. Is that he has the ability to empathize with his enemies even while he's killing them, and he doesn't compromise logic or smarts just because he empathizes with people. One of the things I absolutely despise about a lot of modern movies and shows is that you have some bleeding heart, liberal of a character. The bad guy is doing wicked, awful stuff, and he's like, oh, but I know deep inside you're a good person, and he puts his sword down. See? I'm not gonna hurt you. It's okay. And the bad guy's like, oh my gosh, I understand. I'm gonna stop being bad now. You see, he just slices your head off. But Tanjiro is brilliant because he doesn't sacrifice the innocent. He doesn't allow the demons to continue doing bad things, he's like, oh, but I want to resonate with you. I want to have empathy for you and show you that I care, and maybe you can cut. No, he cuts your head off. He's gonna cut your head off. You're eating humans and killing children. Your head's gone. Get fricked. And so, I love the fact that he's not just some bleeding heart idiot that will literally put other people's lives in jeopardy just to try to have empathy for the bad guy. Having empathy for people doesn't mean you allow them to continue hurting you or others. There's a difference between empathizing with people and trying to understand them so that you can engage in a meaningful conversation, and just removing all boundaries so that their toxicity can spread everywhere. And so that's one of the things that I really look up to Tanjiro for, is that he does what needs to be done. You're a wicked, awful demon. Your head's coming off. But even in that moment, even through all of that, the blood, the gore, he still finds time to resonate and acknowledge the good that was there, the good that is still hiding somewhere, that was tarnished and destroyed. He still has compassion for those that other people hate. Even though he has to do what he has to do, he cuts their head off, he saves the day, he still takes the time to see what could have been, the good that could have been in that person had they not turned into a demon, had they not done what they've done. He still takes the time to be compassionate towards them. Let's talk about how we can do that in our own lives. Remember, I talked about setting boundaries. You can't just allow people to walk all over you and spread their toxicity everywhere. That's not going to work. But I think with empathy and compassion, we can create a link and an in a lot of cases where love really can save the day in time if we do it properly. I firmly believe that hatred just creates more hatred. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't diffuse the situation. But if you take time to listen to somebody, understand their point of view, and say, hey, I hear what you're saying here, and I understand, but I'm coming from this point of view, hearing me out. By making them feel heard, you will ingratiate yourself to them, and they will think, oh, this person's actually taking the time to respect me and hear me out and hear what I have to say. They're not just calling me evil because I voted differently than them. Maybe I'll take a minute to hear what they have to say because they've been so kind to me. That won't happen all the time, but those instances will increase in number, and over time, if we all keep doing that and keep being a bit more empathetic and a bit more compassionate and learning to breathe a little bit and not have to have the last word and actually be able to speak to people openly and kindly, I think we could start bringing society back together just a little bit. And so, and I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, but those people, this and that. It's like, I know. I'm not saying lower your guard and not stand up for yourself. I'm saying be tactful, be smart about it. Understand human psychology and understand that ideas are hidden in the heart. If you want to change someone's mind, you actually have to touch them here. That starts with having enough empathy to listen to them, show them that you care, and at least respect them enough to hear them out and fully understand their ideas before you trash them. And then don't trash them, just kindly say, hey, I understand what you're saying, but this is what I'm saying. They're much more likely to listen to you in that case. And not all conversations will work out, but a lot more conversations will work out. And over time, I do believe that loving people first and being right later can actually reduce the chaos, and we can actually make the world a better place. However, hating people will only, increase it. And so that's the main thing that I take away from this show, Tanjiro, is that he is just an absolutely amazing character that gives all sorts of love and empathy, but he still does what needs to be done. He doesn't mess around. He doesn't have a bleeding heart. He doesn't jeopardize other people's lives just to give the villain one more chance to turn good. No, he slices your freaking head off, and but he still cares. And I think if we could somehow embody that in the way we go about doing that, obviously not slicing people's head off, but you know what I mean, setting our boundaries, saying, hey, no, these are my boundaries, this is what I am, but I'm willing to be kind and compassionate and hear you out. Might still disagree with you, but at least I'm willing to show kindness. And that's really why this show is so meaningful to me, is because they has a main character that seems to do that. And to the point of season 1 and 2, I definitely think season 1 is the better season. I think season 2 is a great season. There's some things about it, it just, I don't know, it just didn't hit as hard as season 1. I'm hoping season 3, the next arc that comes out, hits just as hard and harder. I want this show to keep getting better and better, because it is one of my absolute, favorite things, and I just love it. I'm gonna rant and rave on this all night, and so actually I'm just gonna say those are my thoughts on Demon Slayer. That's what I take from it. That's how I spin it into something more about the world and things like that. And really hope you guys learned and enjoyed something like that. And let me know what animes that are meaningful to you, and which ones you want me to watch, because I'm going to be doing a weekly anime update where I watch a bunch of different anime and give you my thoughts on shows that are currently running. And so we look forward to seeing that. It's probably going to be every single Monday night, where we could just hang out and talk about the latest anime episodes that are coming out. We're going to be doing the last season of Attack on Titan, so definitely like and subscribe for that. We'll keep it less political too. We'll just talk and nerd out about anime, and I won't give advice all the time. But let me know in the comments down below what you think. I know you guys are intelligent, and I want to hear from you, so let me know what you guys think. Now, with that down, I wanted to talk a little bit about, fandoms a little bit more. Actually, no, I don't. I'm tired, and I don't really have anything to say. So that's going to be it for me today. I will we'll have a lot more conversations about fandoms in the future. But leave your comments down below what you think about the things that I said. Did you enjoy the stream? Did you not? What can I do better? How can I improve this and make this a place where you genuinely